All right, we'll start up here in just a moment. Laura, just tell me when we are good to go.
We are good.
All right, good evening. Welcome to the Dawson County Board of Commissioners voting session, September 17th, 2020. I'm going to start off with a roll call. And if you're just joining us, just for your information, Chairman Thurman is joining us. He's out of town. He is joining us via technology and via phone. So he is listening in and is able to participate via the phone call. Want to go into the invocation. So if you would please rise. Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you so much for this day. And thank you for each person that is here and engaged in their community. Thank you, Lord, for this board and the time and the commitments and the passion that they have for serving others and for ultimately making decisions that are based in your will. Lord, we pray that you will guide us and help us each and every day. Lord, thank you so much for this great country that we live in. Pray, Lord, for the leaders at the state level and the national level, especially that your hand is involved in that process. And Lord, we just pray for the upcoming elections that are coming upon us. And Father, just thank you so much for your many blessings. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. So pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Do we have any announcements? Any announcements? One thing I do want to point out is we are in the process and have been for some time with the census. The census data collection is a critical component and critical part of our process. And you might not think it makes a big deal, but it makes a big deal to us locally on several different functions, including who our representatives are at different levels, as well as federal fundings. And so there's a lot of implications. So I just want to encourage everybody here and online to complete your census information. And Laura has put out some information on our social media, and I believe she's going to do that following the meeting tonight for any conduits in order to work on that. They are coming around at this point. Census folks do hire people to come door to door. If you've not filled out your information, they will come knocking on your door. That is a requirement that they have. So just be aware that there are legitimate people that are coming around. They're required to show you a badge and proof of who they are. But they just be aware that they are coming through the community to gather that important information. So that is something I want to point out. Anyone else? All right, we're going to move along to approval of the minutes. This is the minutes from the work session that was held on September 3rd, 2020. Any changes, deletions we need to make to that? Motions?
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Satterfield.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Nix. All those in favor, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Next, we have the approval of the minutes for the voting session held on September 3rd, 2020. Any changes or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Fawcett.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Nix. All those in favor? And that is approved 4-0. Next, we have the approval of the agenda. We have a few changes on the agenda based on some items that we discussed during work session. We are looking to add item number under new business. We're looking to add item number 4, which is the cable TV proposals. We've heard that a couple weeks ago, and then we had some updates tonight in work session. So we're looking to address that this evening. Item number 5, which is the sheriff's heat grant that they've applied for, and that is time sensitive. So we'd like to add that. And then also item number 6 under new business, which is Bailey Waters Road culvert. rehab change order that is time sensitive as well. So do I have a motion in regards to approval of the agenda with those changed items?
So moved.
So moved. Got a motion by Commissioner Fawcett,
Second.
second by Commissioner Satterfield. All those in favor, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. All right, let's move into our agenda. And first, public comment. Do we have a public comment, Kristen?
You do not have anyone here physically, I don't think, to provide a public comment, but you do have some submitted comments.
Are these submitted comments in regards to the hearings or the public hearings that we're going to have?
They are not. They are in regard to an item under new business.
Okay. All right, so public comment, and we're allowing people, since we are digital now, and allowing people to consume these meetings via online. We're allowing people to submit these comments. This group of comments I'm going to read, settle back, get some dinner. And this is in regards to, looks like a new business item number 2, consideration of Dawson County recycling program update. And I'm going to just publicly read these for the record and for us to consider. So first one is from a Linda Bostic. I am aware that recycling is not lucrative, but I am also aware that it is popular with the citizens of Dawson County. Could there be money found in the budget to fund the recycling of cardboard and paper at least? Some of our elementary school students are active in recycling projects at their schools. They are collecting cardboard, which is then delivered to the facility on Burke Creek Road. These kids are our future, and they are doing a very important thing to help ensure a healthy planet. We should encourage them, not destroy their optimism. Thank you. Next letter we received is from and I apologize if I butcher this, but it's Georgianne Smalls. And this was directed to Chairman Thurman. It says, hi, Billy, hope you're doing well, prepared for some rain. Contacting you about the county recycling program. I understand that the board will be considering whether or not to keep our single stream recycle container at the Burke Creek Road facility. Not only is this program viable by surrounding counties, but it also serves as a valuable lesson for our children and future generations. I understand that it isn't profitable enterprise, but it signifies that Dawson County cares about our environment and is a progressive community. For us, it was one of the reasons we moved here and not another county nearby. Plus, it's the right thing to do. Please don't discontinue the program. Thanks, Georgianne. Another one by Pamela Wilson, and this one's directed to Ms. Cloud. Ms. Cloud, I am a member of the Dawson County Women's Club and a lifelong resident of Dawson County. I am concerned about our recycling. I recycle and bring all my recyclables to the location on Burke Creek Road. I understand the problem is not being able to find someone who we can sell it to. Could we check with other countries about who handles, or counties, I'm sorry, who handles theirs? Hope we are able to keep recycling as our county grows. So will our garbage. Recycling takes about half of my garbage. Hopefully we can encourage all our residents to recycle, cut back on some of our landfills, and use some of our garbage to make other things. Concerned citizen, Ms. Pam Wilson. Next, we have Ms. Susan Shaw. My husband and I are totally in favor of continuing Dawson County's recycling program. I sincerely hope the rumors that plastics are not really recycled is just that, a rumor. This contribution to our community and world is tremendously important. We have enjoyed having the opportunity to drop our bags at the fire station near 400, but we would certainly go to the transfer station if that is what the commissioners decide. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Susan Shaw. Next, we have Ms. Kimberly Sizemore. I need to add a comment to the recycling issue. I love the recycling program in Dawsonville. It's so easy to recycle, and I have bragged on recycling process in Dawsonville. It's the easiest to recycle as it is now anywhere we have ever lived. And I thank you for that and highly encourage you to keep it the same. I feel passionate about this. My brother and his family live in Lumpkin, and my husband's business is also in Lumpkin. When they took away all their recycling stations to save money, everyone in the community was comparing it to Dawson, as in, how come Dawson can get it right and we can't? Everyone has bragged on our recycling as the standard, and it has been. When Lumpkin changed their recycling, both my brother and my brother's business quit recycling. As sad as that is, it was just so much more effort, and I know our busy businesses need to just keep it as simple and as easy as possible for it to continue. But we quit recycling there, and so did my brother. It's a shame, really. Please don't change anything. I love how easy it is to recycle now, and am so thankful. Consider carefully the plan, and I hope that you'll take into consideration my comments. Blessings, Kimberly Sizemore. Next, we have Kathleen Harris. Hello, I was informed there will be a meeting about the future of recycling in Dawson County. My family just recently arrived to Dawson County from another state. We absolutely love this service to stick around, but please make the public more aware of what the recycling area takes, hours, and location. I just heard about this after asking several people who live in the community if they knew of a recycling place, and they told me no. I am sure there are a lot of other people in the community who are unaware of this service and would use it once they were made aware. Thank you, Kathleen Harris. Next, we have a email from Miss Edie Chadora to our commissioners. I am opposed to our county doing away with recycling. This is an extremely important service that should be continued instead of filling up landfills. Please do not do away with this service. Next, we have Michael McCarthy. Michael McCarthy. Hello. We've been recycling for several years at the transfer station. Recently, I was told that the recycling just gets dumped in the trash anyways, so we've stopped recycling. I think we need a better way to do it, and we need to provide some education to the citizens on how. I understand that most of the recycling coming into the transfer station is contaminated. Not sure what that means. We'd like to start back recycling if it will actually be recycled. Thank you for taking my input, Mike. Next, we have a message from Gary and Ada Holly. To whom it may concern, please do not get rid of recycling at the Dawson County Transfer Station. I live in a rural part of the county and take our family's recycling there twice a month since I have no other option other than to throw it out with the trash. I want to keep it out of the landfill and help the environment. Thank you, Mr. and Ms. Holly. And so those are the public comments that we have on regards to new business item number 3, consideration that we will have coming up here shortly for the Dawson County Recycling Program update. Any other public comments?
No, sir.
No, sir. All right, thank you. So now we're going to move into the zonings that we have on the agenda this evening. And we're going to start out with zoning SU 20-01. This is Scott Adamson's request, a special use permit for dog kennels located at TMP 106-051-017 Dawson Forest Road East. And before we start, I want to give everybody the process that we go through when it comes to zonings. The planning director will come up and present the application and the recommendation to the planning commission. We will hear from the applicant, if the applicant's present. We will open the hearing. We will listen to those that are in favor of the application. We will hear from those that are opposed to the application. Each person wishing to speak will be allotted 3 minutes per our zoning guidelines. Anyone who speaks will need to sign in at the podium here, which we have a pad and paper and a pen, and give us your name and your address. And also anyone that has donated $250 or more to any candidate will need to fill out a form stating so. So we're going to start out with that first zoning, and I would like to ask Jameson to come up and tell us where we're at on that particular zoning. Can you turn the mic on, please?
Awesome. So currently, I had an email earlier today that the applicant is no longer wishing to pursue a dog kennel, and they are in fact wishing to move off the property. But with that said, I will continue with the presentation since it was advertised, and we will continue with the public hearing.
Yeah, so just traditionally, we have, if an applicant has withdrawn because we have advertised this legally in the paper as a public hearing, we do go ahead and go through the process, but just please note that there will not be a vote taken on approval of this. We can vote to approve the withdrawal of the request. Is that correct, legal?
Yes, that's fine. I mean, yes, I mean, we don't have to do the public hearing, but we can. I mean,
I want to stay consistent with what we've done in the
Mhm,
past,
that's
and
fine.
it's historically been done with others, but just know for public sake that we are not going to be voting on approving that today.
Okay. So I'll try to make this brief then. Scott Adamson was seeking to operate a dog and cat boarding facility at his residence at 2445 Dawson Forest Road. They were going to take scheduled appointments up to $20 dogs capacity, with the potential of increasing, and the surrounding area, this property is surrounded on all sides by one property owner. So it's a property that's surrounded completely U-shaped by another property. There is a church and a veterinarian in the facility with a boarding facility in that general area. The Planning Commission, after much discussion, recommended denial of this application.
All right, thank you. Do we have is the applicant present even though they have withdrawn? I do not see the applicant present, so I'm going to proceed on to our hearing. So do we need a motion to open the hearing? So I would look for a motion to open the hearing for SU 20-01.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Nix.
Second.
Mr. James,
Yes, Mr.
you
Thurman.
can just open the hearing yourself.
Yeah, we don't have to have.
Okay.
never have those.
Listen, you're dealing with Plan B tonight, so bear
Well,
with me.
In some jurisdictions, open public hearings by motion, so
Trying to be
it's your
formal up here,
pleasure,
yeah.
Mr.
We're going to
Standing
open the
Chairman.
hearing because I have the ability and the right to do that. So is anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone? Seeing none, is anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Yes, sir. Come up if you would. Write down your name, your address, and tell us who you are.
My name is Doug Hughes, and I live adjacent in that area. And the reason why we came about and to do this was just because we look at our property values where that house sits. There's two subdivisions west of it, and then we have our subdivision, which is basically a cul-de-sac on Paddock Place, and they live in a valley. The dogs that they currently have are approximately 9 dogs that they're keeping in a house there. When they let them out, you can hear it. I mean, it's like going down to the Humane Society when you walk in, you know, it's just, so we always just wanted to make sure that this did not get passed or anything to even try to put something there. I know that they've been granted some type of livestock area, I guess, because they're now have roosters and chickens there, and they sort of rule the road as up our subdivision street that the rooster does. But
Is it already a kennel,
no,
or are these 9 dogs theirs?
I don't know whose dogs they are, but they do have, this is a huge white house that's.
Oh,
over
I
there.
know
Yeah.
exactly.
And then
Yeah.
there's a small house attached to it,
Okay,
and they have 9 dogs in there.
so it's not already operational as a kennel, okay,
Not to my knowledge, ma'am.
okay.
But anyways, we just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that we were concerned about our property, the valuation, the devaluation of property. And that's what how this started here.
But you don't know who the 9 dogs are, who they,
Probably some others. I think she's a veterinarian from what I heard. And so I'm not sure who's.
so they're consistently there? You think that-
Yeah, there's dogs running there. Yeah, you see them. So, but that was our concern. I think that you also received an email from the lady across the street.
Yeah, and I'll be reading that email next. So.
Okay. But that was just what we're looking at as property value, the noise level aspect of it. And I appreciate the commissioner's time.
Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. Anyone else present that would wish to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I am going to go ahead and read a email that was sent in regards to this particular zoning. To whom it may concern. Hello, my name is Angela Long. I live at 2500 Dawson Forest Road East. I am sending you this email in regards to the request of the dog kennel by Scott Adamson on Dawson Forest Road. I do not want this in our area. I believe rescue dogs are very unpredictable, and there are a lot of children in our area. And if just one of those dogs gets out, a child could be in a lot of danger. I do not think they have enough land to have 80 dogs. It would be noisy and stinky. There is a creek that runs down beside and behind the property in question and a well under the house. I don't know if the well was ever filled in. My grandparents used to own that property years ago. We already have 3 schools, 3 churches, a store, a veterinarian, and a daycare center, all on Dawson Forest Road. There is a lot of traffic already. Everything in that area echoes. We can hear everything that goes on. All the neighbors can as well. We have just under 4 acres, and we're told at one time that we didn't have enough land to build a house. So I think they have enough land to build a dog kennel. I don't think they have enough land to build a dog kennel for 80 dogs. So I'm asking you all to please, please, please deny their request. Thank you. And so that was a comment that we had received. So having no other comments, we can now move this on to a vote. Do we have any concerns or any comments from the board? I think that it would be appropriate, and legal, tell me if I'm right, that we have the option to take a motion to accept withdrawal of their request.
That's correct.
Any other comments by the board? Any motions?
I make a motion to accept the withdrawal of the request.
Motion by Commissioner Nix,
Second.
second by Commissioner Fawcett. All those in favor, please vote. And that request has been withdrawn 4-0. Thank you. We're moving on to ZA 20-06. This is Victor. Again, I'm going to not do this right, but Valsmiller request to rezone 4.001 acres, TMP 098-027-009 from RA residential agriculture to RSR residential subrural for the purpose of subdividing the property on Goodson Road. Mr. Jameson. Mr. Kinley.
Thank you, Commissioner. As you said, Mr. Vaismiller is seeking to rezone the parcel 98-27-009 from RA to RSR in order to divide the property into two-acre parcels. The interesting part of this is that this parcel is already split by a 2-acre parcel. It's all kind of goes back to how it was platted back when it was originally done, and that was done back in 2016. And this rezoning would be in compliance with our future land use map. The Planning Commission recommended approval as well, with no comments.
This one, is this one of them, excuse me, is this one of them that was in the net as far as what we were talking about when we looked at that?
Essentially, but this one would be also one that actually falls into the RSR area
Already
in our
falls into
future
it,
land use
yeah.
map. So the rezoning this, if he came before us, it would have fallen in the net. But at the same time, we also want to, we would look at it just to say it better fits RSR in this area.
Because it's already on the future land use plan identified as that.
Yes, sir.
I don't think this is part of that corrective.
It's not.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions for Jameson? Thank you, Jameson. We may have some in a minute. Is the applicant present? Could you come up, please, sir? Tell us what you want to do. If you would, write your name and tell us who you are.
I'm David Valsmiller, Victor Valsmiller's son, so I'm representing him.
Vasmiller, that's how you pronounce that.
Yeah, you got it pretty much
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
So my name is David Vasmiller. My dad is requesting to rezone this lot from RA to RSR because we are planning to sell the property and the future owners of the property are planning on building a home on it.
Okay.
Will one home or two?
One on each.
So that'd be two.
Two, yeah, I guess two.
Is one home already existing and you're building another one, or are you building two new houses?
I'm not building anything. We're just selling it for the
Oh.
purpose of someone to build.
Okay. Any other questions?
But there's already one house there.
There's one house, but that is not our parcel.
Okay.
There's two 2-acre parcels and one in the middle, but that's not our parcel.
Oh, okay.
So somehow they're divided.
Mm-hmm.
If you look on the map, it's just like, there's 3 2-acre parcels and the one in the middle is not owned by my dad.
Could they not build without rezoning? This is RA in that section. Could they, did they have to?
They'd have to go to that RAC, but
So the property is actually divided. So it's a 4-acre parcel, but
Okay,
it's actually divided up into 2 different locations. And what he's looking to do is to split those into 2 different parcels. So you can have a house built on both of them. Currently, the lot is vacant. There are no houses on the parcel. But yeah, there's 2 acres, as he said, there's 2 acres that actually divide these 2 other acres.
but even zoned RA, could they still not have built one house?
not technically because it's 5.
You got
Yes, you
5
could,
acres.
you could have built one house on it. He's looking to subdivide it into 2 different parcels, so to build 2 different houses.
But it's already split.
It's split by another
In the
parcel,
middle.
but it's still the same property.
But it's still split in the middle though.
This is weird.
It's an interesting scenario.
Yeah, it
absolutely.
is.
But it was one of them that was deeded or platted back 2016. It was
Yes.
split in 2016.
Yes.
Okay.
And so had this not fit into the current land use plan of RSR, then I assume that he would be requesting the RAC corrective zoning in order to,
There would probably be more analysis that would need to be made on that, but I would assume yes.
okay.
Let me ask you that. But so if it's in the old, it required 5 acres, but he don't have 5 acres because it's already split in the middle. He's got 2 on each side of the house is already built.
Currently, yes, it's a,
So there's no way you can get any more land to make it.
Physically, yes, it's 2 set, but on paper, they were combined as one parcel.
At one time, before that one, when the middle was built.
I'll tell you what.
Okay.
Was that originally
Yes.
5-acre tract?
6 acres
6-acre tract.
So that house there is on 2 acres.
in the middle.
Correct, correct. The neighbors will be on 2 acres. You're asking to do a house on each side of them. On 2
Ultimately,
acres.
there'll be three houses if approved. 3 houses, each one of them on 2-acre lots.
Counting on houses already there. Whew, okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? Any other questions for Jameson? All right, thank you. We may have some questions in a minute.
No kidding.
No kidding. All right, at this time, we're going to open the hearing because I have the ability to do that without a vote, apparently.
You go
We're
to
going to
it.
go into, we're here to open it up to anyone that are here to speak in favor of the application. Anyone to speak in favor of the application? Seeing none, I will close that. Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application, please come forward, state your name. Seeing none, I will close that. We had no emails regarding that one. And so we will close that public hearing and now we can go into accepting the vote from the board. Do I have any motions?
Question,
Question, yes, sorry.
James. You said it fit our future land.
It does, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Motions?
I'll make a motion to approve ZA 20-06.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Satterfield. I will second that motion. So I have a second by Commissioner Gaines. And now we can vote. All those in favor or opposed, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Next, we will move to ZA 20-07. This is Jim King on behalf of Trimark. Did Billy have a comment?
Chairman, do you have a comment?
No, ma'am.
I heard something.
I think he sneezed.
Thank
Jim
you.
King on behalf of Trimark 400 LLC request a CPCD Commercial Plan Community Development Zoning Stipulation Amendment for TMP 107-319, 107-319-005, 107-319-004, and 107-319-002 to remove the age restriction on residential units within the currently zoned CPCD parcel Blue Ridge Parkway. Jameson.
Thank you, Commissioner Gaines. Located on the corner of Georgia 400 and Blue Ridge Parkway, the applicant is seeking to modify the zoning conditions of an already zoned CPCD parcel. This request would remove the age restriction that was placed on the residential units. The uses of the newly proposed site plan essentially are the same as the previous approved site plan with some shifting to accommodate a different style of development. If it weren't for the language that's specifically in zoning stipulation 1, where it talks about 200 independent living dwellings, 60 senior duplexes, and 40 residential lots, this site plan would be in compliance and wouldn't have to come for this board for approval, which brings us to today. This development is within the 400 corridor and would have to comply with all the regulations of the overlay at that time of development. As you know, that we're working on our 400 corridor overlay. So when the development, if it ever comes to fruition, it would have to meet those guidelines. Planning Commission recommended approval as presented, and I will entertain any questions.
Any questions of Jameson? Jameson, we may have some additional questions later, so please don't go too far. Is the applicant present? Jim, come on up. State your name for everyone to know who you are and write your information on the piece of paper, please, sir. Tell us what you'd like to do.
Mr. Chairman, Jim King, 416 Overlook Circle, Dawsonville, Georgia. Tonight we're here before you to change the conditions and site plan amendment on this zoning that we did a couple of years ago. What we are requesting is we're removing the age restriction on the multifamily units. Everything else stays the same. We still have the office. We still have the retail along 400, the office, the assisted living, and the hotel parcel. What we found is the market is not deep enough to support all of the multifamily units at a 55 and older state. They have to have something. They can support some. It will still be marketed towards that, but the market's just not deep enough to support that. So we're asking you to remove those restrictions. That one restriction, everything else stays the same as the original zoning, as I mentioned. We met with Commissioner Nix and Commissioner Fawcett earlier and we went over their concerns with it. And my partner, John Kiefer, will give a little more information on that. And as far as the appearance and everything, and John was involved in the original development down at 369. And the key is making things attractive, especially along that 400 corridor, which, as you well know, I'm very concerned about, or very outspoken about that as well. So there will be, everything will meld together, have the same architectural theme throughout. And John can speak to you a little more about that. And then also, Commissioner Gaines, I know you had some concerns with the Highland Point, the road going to Highland Point, and the condition of it, the disrepair and the maintenance that it's been going on, and for the residents from Highland Point. And we've agreed, I've got a condition that addresses that issue, as well as you also expressed concern about the construction schedule and making sure that the retail was constructed along with the multifamily, not the multifamily only. And so I've got some conditions that address. I think I've stated everything you verbalized to me and put in the form of written conditions, and I'll submit to you. I do. My printer ran out of ink, and the third-party cartridge I got didn't.
My dog
Take
ate
so-
my homework.
No, no,
I
what
heard that.
so I only have 3 copies, if y'all don't mind sharing.
We got a copy of
You
it.
didn't do very good in school, did you, Jim? Dog ate my homework.
That's what I get for being last minute, right?
Gosh, how many pieces of paper you got? Is this mine?
That's yours.
So if you would just verify that, I think I captured everything, all your concerns in there, but
Yeah, and I'd like to, just for the record, read these for public consumption as well. Some of the conditions and concerns that we've had on this is the site development for the commercial parcels shall be simultaneously with the multifamily housing. The retail site shall be constructed to pad-ready condition with access roads completed prior to the certificate of occupancy being issued on the multifamily buildings. Condition number 2 is the site shall be developed in accordance, general accordance with the site plan submitted with this rezoning request. Any significant changes should be approved by the Dawson County Planning Director prior to construction of plans being approved.
Must be approved.
Must
Not
be
should.
approved. Yes, must be approved. Any other changes?
But there's a difference between I should.
You're right. That's legal speak. Highland Point Drive shall be repaired and completed to county standards and dedicated to Dawson County prior to the certificate of occupancy being issued on the multifamily buildings. So those are the 3 stipulations that tentatively you guys have entertained and are okay with.
yes, sir.
Okay. Any comments for Mr. King from the board? And you said your business partner would like to speak as well.
I believe so. He's going to, yes, sir.
Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. John Keeper, I'll fill out the form here. We've been involved in the property for years, paid many thousands of dollars in taxes over the years. We have complied with multiple zoning conditions in the past. We've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in infrastructure. We built a sewer lift station, collection system, force mains. We built an off-site pump station up on Blue Ridge Overlook in anticipation of a big box retail store. We have tried many times to see this development, be fully completed. We could have many times sold the out parcels piecemeal, but that's not our interest. We want to see the entire tract developed in uniformity with, a common theme, common architectural guidelines and standards. And so we would appreciate your consideration tonight. What we're trying to do is once and for all get an an entire development plan that will allow us to develop the whole site in uniformity, and we'll certainly comply with the provisions that we've spelled out, and would also answer any questions or concerns that you might have. But again, appreciate your consideration, and I'm here to answer any other questions that you might have.
Any other questions of the applicant? Yeah, I appreciate your consideration or willingness to agree. That big thing for us, I think, as a board is looking at ensuring that our commercial is being concurrent with our residential. So that's an important piece, as well as that is a predominant location in our community come forward. And I do tend to agree that having uniformity amongst those buildings is a desire that we have architectural standards that are applied to that whole thing. And as you know, as Jameson pointed out, we're doing a 400 overlay, and some of those guidelines, you guys are willing to agree to those guidelines as they come forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant? No. All right, thank you. We're going to move into our public hearing now. Again, due to the powers invested in me by our attorney sitting over there, I'm going to open this hearing for anyone that would wish to speak in favor of the application. Anyone here wishing to speak in favor of the application, please come forward. Seeing none. Anyone here wishing to speak in opposition to the application, please come forward. State your name if you would, and write your information there on our pad, please.
My name is Bruce Dunsell. I live on Lula Garrett Road. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'll read a brief set of remarks here. Applicant has requested board approval to lift the 55+ age restriction on their proposed apartments based on the simple but unsupported assertion this stipulation is not economically viable. But this request would forever alter the very purpose, which was the establishment of a senior community for which its master plan was approved, and it would drastically transform the essential nature of this proposed development, opening instead to commuters, juveniles, and transients. Yet this county government has so far missed the criticality of this change to community vibrancy and to thoroughly evaluate its impact. Nor has this county government acted to mitigate the risk to public health and safety posed by this proposed development. Risks that were once again documented during this application's review. Just as one example, Fire Marshal Bailey informed you in writing on August 9th, and I quote, "The resulting increased numbers in population and structures, in addition to all the other pending land development projects, will exceed the department's current capabilities to provide service. We still have only 3 full-time staffed ambulances. As a result, we frequently must call for mutual aid responses, resulting in extended response times. This proposed development should further exceed our capabilities. Of additional concern, DCES does not currently possess an aerial apparatus fire truck, crucial to effect vertical rescue and suppression. Lastly, current staffing levels are insufficient to provide an unacceptable response capability," unquote. This county government is also very well aware that residential development costs taxpayers much more for added government services than the money collected. Yet applicants stated their intent to build 4-story apartment buildings as soon as permits are obtained, but take at least 6 years to complete the site, contingent on market conditions over which no one has control. As a result, we have no confidence the approved master plan will ever actually be completed. Commercial and industrial businesses, such as those in the final phases of this plan and in all the other plans already approved or pending, are required to deliver us from an ever deepening tax hole. But this critical infrastructure, not to mention the promised jobs, is always last, never first. Hence the endless drive to raise our property taxes and collect new splosts. Will you therefore agree that these existing and increasing public health and safety risks and the perpetual self-inflicted tax indebtedness that has been and is being locked in, as well as the exposed inadequacies in the planning process, are unacceptable? You would do so by also agreeing to reject this application and place a hold on this development until these issues are addressed to the satisfaction of county residents. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone else? Come forward, please. State your name, write your information on the pad there.
Okay, my name is Beth Martin. I live at 586 Brights Way. Since the original rezoning of this property in 2003 as CPCD, the Oakmont Trimont property, as it's known today, keeps gaining more residential with each zoning change while losing more of the commercial aspect each time. I'd like to see a stipulation to build the commercial component first, so we're not left with only the residential part of the plan, which seems to have become the current trend in the county. Currently, Mancy Park and Riley Place are zoned CPCD, and the residential part is built and occupied with no commercial component at all. Also, just this past December, this board waived the commercial component for the Pacific Group project. As with all the rush to develop the county, I'm still concerned with the ability of the infrastructure, especially emergency services, to keep up with the needs without bankrupting the current residents.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else present to speak in opposition to the applicant? Anyone else? Seeing none, I will close that hearing. Do we have any discussion of the board or questions of the board?
Chris, could you talk about 56 and where do we have those subdivisions or those? Do we have more of those in the county?
Jameson, you might be able to address that. Are you saying, do we have any other identified as 55 and older in the county?
Yes.
There's the one there, the assisted living obviously would be 55 and older that's there behind Connie House.
But I'm talking about 55, people that can live, they need assisted living. We need an adult place for it.
Yeah, I don't know if we have any other, do you know of any other age restricted?
Tractor supply.
Yeah, tractor supply. That one's a different structure, but it's got government.
It's got
It's
government.
got
That
government.
one has government guidelines.
Yeah.
We have to go by
Yes.
page.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a question, Jameson, the plan's already approved. The demand is already there for infrastructure. We're making a change to remove that one restriction, but
Everything else is the same, is that?
yeah, I mean, the impact is already there. There will be impact fees that are charged on this. We also, just from my perspective, the ability for us to, I know one of our major concerns, which the developers agreed to address is, and it was pointed out by one of our comments, is ensuring that we have commercial that's going in. I think that this particular piece where it's located is very much where we would, where the future land use plan calls for commercial to begin with. It's on 400. Having the ability and the agreement of the developer to ensure that it looks, instead of piecemealed here, we sell off a piece here that's okay, it's already approved, nothing we can do about it. We don't have any leverage in that point. Now we've got a little bit of leverage to say, we want this thing to look very collectively together. And that being a prominent location as you come into the county, that's important to me. And it's already approved to do it. So I understand the points of impact on services, but that's already there. That's already been approved years ago. Those are some of my comments. Other comments, questions?
I've got, we've heard from Development Authority on several occasions, and also Chamber of Commerce is pad-ready sites. They brought the University of Georgia in here, students, to look at areas that was pad-ready sites, or possibly that we could acquire, or they could acquire as authority. And I'm like Chris, if some of the development we get coming forward, if they have some of these pad-ready sites with infrastructure and curb and gutter and streets, and maybe our development authority can bring those types of jobs we're looking for and they brought to us in the past. So I think that's a good stipulation on there that we need to look at in the future too, for other developments coming.
Is there already some sort of stipulation on this that so a certain percent of commercial has to be done before they move forward with a lot of this residential? Was that part of the stipulations? Because, I mean, I hear what the people are saying, and we have had trouble with that. You know, people will come in and they'll do the residential, and then all of a sudden they're gone and no commercial. So what are the stipulations with this?
So currently, we don't have any stipulations that talk about the different timeframes
Okay.
of when things are to be developed. But we do have a stipulation that says the project shall be developed to the standards set forth in the applicant owner provided letter of intent and master design site plan to include commercial medical office maximums of 130,000 square feet of office space, 31,500 square feet of retail space, 141,000 square feet of assisted living space, 70,000 square feet of hotel space. And all those things are represented in the site plan as presented
But it
today.
doesn't say in what order.
It does not say in what order.
Okay, I think Jim's got a comment.
They do have the stipulation or the condition one that they've agreed to tentatively is the site development for the commercial parcels shall be done simultaneously with the multifamily. Meaning they're going to have everything ready to go, and my understanding is they're going to actively market, and maybe you can speak to that more.
Okay.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I did want to clarify a few things. I don't think I was clear in my original presentation, but yes, it is still going to be marketed towards 55 and up. The problem is everybody that we're talking to, all the market studies show that there may be a market for 100 units, maybe up to 150 units of 55 and up, but nothing beyond that. And that doesn't, you can't build a development like this with 100 to 150 units. So we're not asking for any more units than what is already approved. There were 300 units approved with the original zoning, and that's all. We haven't changed that at all. All we're asking is that be lifted so that if somebody comes in that's 50 years old or 40 years old or whatever, 30 years old even, that they can still rent to that person so that they can fill it up. They can't sit there with a half empty complex. One of the other things is in a mixed use development like this, y'all are all very familiar with Avalon, I'm sure. One of the things that makes Avalon a vibrant and what makes it work is the fact that they have residential mixed in with it. If they didn't have that multifamily and the residential mixed in with it, that thing wouldn't have survived.
With the
You can't-
commercial, you mean?
With the commercial, yes. Because you have to have people living there using that commercial. Otherwise, you can't rely on more people driving up and using it. There's just not enough traffic to survive. One of the other comments was the fire protection, and of course, it'll have to meet state fire code, which means sprinklers. One of the things that John Kiefer mentioned earlier is the investment that he's put in this property even before I got involved in it. And one of them was a booster pump. Well, the booster pump was for water supply. It was not for sewer. That's because this entire area in here didn't have enough pressure for fire flow. They spent almost $1 million on a booster pump to provide fire protection flows to this area, not just this area, but the surrounding area. So not just this development, but the booster pump helps that entire part of the county up there. So he's made a tremendous contribution to fire protection already. And again, the units will be sprinkled. So, and as far as taxes, our taxes currently are about $40,000 a year. And we've been paying that for a long, long time. Once it's developed, obviously the taxes will be, probably 3 or 4 times that.
Would it be feasible to say that 100 units have to be occupied by people 55 and over?
Yeah.
Would that?
What we'd prefer is something that says it will be marketed towards 55 and up.
Well, I'm sure you prefer that. That's looser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you get into
Because-
how you gotta monitor.
I know, I know, I know.
And y'all are okay with the 3 stipulations?
Yes, sir.
There's what was read in.
Yes, sir.
And I guess your design is geared towards, since you are marketing towards 55 and older. is,
That's right. I mean,
from a
we got
planning
medical office, we got assisted living. The whole thing is the same design. It's still designed around that.
The way it's designed is geared towards a 55 product or a product, I guess.
That's
is what
correct.
You're saying. Okay. Any other questions of the applicant? Thank you, Jim. Motions.
I'll make a motion to approve ZA 20-07 with the 3 stipulations read into record.
Do we need to read those again? Or are you comfortable with it as it is? Okay.
You want to read them?
I think we have them in writing, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah, for the, to put in the minutes.
Add these stipulations to the already current stipulations on the property?
I would think so.
Yes, the
Yeah.
current zoning and conditions are
Yeah,
not being
right.
disturbed.
Yeah. You remove the 1 stipulation, you add the 3. Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Is that clear, Jameson?
Yeah, there was not a request to remove any other condition except for that 1. So we would eliminate the 1 and replace it with no age restriction and then the addition of the 3.
The reason I ask is because the 1 stipulation, number 1 is actually broken up into like 3 different subsections. Only one of those subsections is referring to the residential maximum, the 200 independent living, 60 senior duplexes. So just remove that portion of that stipulation, but keep the square footage and the design standards on the setbacks and the signs.
Yeah, we're not changing any of that.
Okay. Just so I'm clear.
So I have a motion to approve with removing the 1 stipulation and adding the 3. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor? Any opposed? Please vote. Or I guess, do we have any other comments, questions?
If I can just make one
Yeah.
more clarification, I'm at a disadvantage because I haven't looked at this or been asked to review it, but the condition that we're removing is simply the age restriction, right? Okay, it's not combined. You mentioned it was combined with something.
Stipulation 1, you're just removing that portion of it.
Okay, yes, but I don't know that they're removing all of this. I mean, there's still going to be 200, these numbers still are applicable, right? It's just not senior duplex dwellings.
Instead of being 200 independent living and 60 senior,
Mhm.
40 residential, it's just going to be
300 residential units.
residential.
Okay, so we restate it as that. Okay, yeah, let's make that clear. Thank you.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second. We can proceed to vote. And that has passed 4-0. Thank you. We're going to move in now to new business. First item on our new business is consideration to move forward with public hearing for the Edna Noblin Road abandonment request. And I believe McKee had presented that. Are there any other questions for staff?
I would just like to know, this may not even be the time to ask, but all that trash that's down in there, when you close that road, will that be cleaned up or will that just stay there?
Yes, I suppose.
Yes,
we would-
yes, it will
we
stay
would-
there. Yes, it'll be.
You like that? Yes.
I mean, I'm telling you, you must be a politician.
So what if it's the board's desire to move forward with this, then we talked about this 2 weeks ago. I will contact the property owners that are affected. I would request that if we do that, we wait till we close it so that we can clean it up one time. Yes, because it is on the right of way. And yes, we will clean it up. So the answer is yes, we will clean it up, but I would propose that we wait until such time we did close it
Oh,
or
yeah.
it's going to reappear.
Oh, I know. Who's got that new fence on this side of the road? Who's?
On this
property
side,
is that?
the
There's a
property.
nice fence.
Property, I think the owners that own.
is that going down on the right?
Yeah,
That is the Young family,
okay.
and they actually own both sides of the road for a little
Okay.
ways. It's really three main property owners that are affected by this. The map provided kind of stretched into Chestatee, and they'll be notified because technically they do have access to it, but their main access obviously is off Nightfire Drive.
I thought there were 4.
There's another one that is also that backs up to the property, but they are a cul-de-sac lot off of Nightfire Court, which is in Chestatee Development. So that house and driveway and everything, they're just a back property owner that backs up to that.
Why was that road built? I
The-
mean, just dead ends and.
The original Edna Noblin Road used to go from 400 and tie back in all the way over to, before Chestatee was developed.
Nightfire, I guess. wasn't it?
It tied back in all the way to Dogwood. And then
Okay.
Dogwood ran all the way back to where Honeysuckle is and
Okay.
the development on the lake. When the developer came in, they realigned Nightfire and added Nightfire Drive
Mhm.
to get a full access, unrestricted access on State Route 400. So at that time, it was closed at the Chestatee property line. And that's why it goes down there and stops.
Comes behind their clubhouse, there's tennis courts or something. doesn't it?
Yeah, the original road went down behind the clubhouse and tied back in, and Nightfire is the old Edna Noblin Road right at the top of the hill. When you go down Nightfire and go at the top of the hill,
Mhm.
that's where it tied back in right there. And if you
I
look
don't
back to the
believe
right,
there's
you can,
much good happening down that road.
I would agree.
What I saw, I'm telling you, disgusting.
They catch somebody about every week, some of the homeowners do trying to dump.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there's mattresses and couches and all
Yard
kind of-
debris.
Yeah, it's terrible.
What are we using to be a barrier to prevent people from going back there? I know you said the homeowners already had a fence installed, they just don't have it closed, so they're gonna
They're gonna put a gate.
We don't have anything now because it's public road. We can't do
Right.
that. So that's what really brought this all about. The landowners want a gate.
Okay.
So the barrier will be a gate.
Okay.
And that will be on the landowners or the property owners. It will be on them once if it's the board's desire to move forward with the closure. So
Okay.
our recommendation tonight, if it's the desire, is just authorize moving forward with the abandonment process. There'll be a hearing. I don't want to schedule that hearing yet because I do want to contact each of these folks and let them know and make sure that they obviously can attend the hearing on that road.
And I think they're willing to put a lock that public safety can get in there.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, do we have a motion?
Well, I'm kind of confused after you said something about the public hearing. I thought what we were to do is to move forward with the public hearing,
It
but
is.
you said you
Not
didn't
so.
want to set.
Yeah, that's correct. I just don't want to set a date tonight. We'll set that
Oh, well,
date.
yeah, I don't.
and public- and-
Well, I
and
make a
public
motion,
safety.
let's move forward to
Yeah.
public hearing just as quick as we can.
So a motion by Commissioner Fawcett, second by Commissioner Satterfield. Please vote. And that is approved for, moving forward, item 2 on new business is consideration of Dawson County Recycling Program update. Again, that was something that was presented by Mr. McKee and some of the challenges that we've had. We've had some public comments that we read into the record earlier. Mr. McKee, do you have anything else to add? You may come up if we have some questions. I believe we may have some further discovery.
Just let him come on.
Questions?
You go ahead,
No,
you go ahead.
go.
Not to recycle is just against every bone in my body. Just tell you that. But And I know all these people, and a couple of these people that send emails, they're members of the Keep Dawson County Beautiful, and I understand that. But you said there was no market for plastics, did you not?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that just goes to trash, is that right?
So let me address, I'll try to address the whole picture. There was some,
And include the money part.
yeah, there was some misquoted information in
Okay.
one of those items that Commissioner read earlier, that items that come in there are thrown away regardless, so they're not going to recycle. That's absolutely not true.
But that is the thought out here, you know, people said that to me
Sure, and
before.
that's not just a Dawson County thought, that's a nationwide thought.
Oh, is it?
You can read up as much as you want to read up on it. That's, but yes, the difficulty that, and it's not Dawson County because we recycle through single stream with advanced disposal. The difficulty that advanced disposal, that United, that Republic, that all of these big players have is, what are they going to do with the end product? There is market for cardboard and paper recycling facilities because those recycling and remanufacturing facilities are already up and running in the United States. So they can cart this material there. That is not the case with plastics, and it is not the case with glass, simply because plastics were shipped overseas. And now there is not a market for plastics. So that is correct. And what we have found when I'm digging through research is that number one, the cost increases because now they can't sell it. They have to pay to store this material somewhere until they can find it, or find a purpose for it or whatever. So that's number one. Number two is, so we have that increased cost. And then the biggest thing is just getting rid of it in general. So the thought that plastic is not recycled, that's not true. It is recycled. They are very picky with it, though. There was also a discussion about what does contaminated mean? Contaminating, that term and what that means has also evolved greatly in the last 2 years. And it is evolved perhaps since I spoke 2 weeks ago. And by their picky, what I mean with that is if there's a Coke bottle that's got Coke residue still in it, then that is contaminated because that has to go through a different process when it's cleaned and then recycled. The biggest contamination that we deal with is like your shampoo bottles, and not we, I'm just saying we because I operate the facility. So your shampoo bottles or a pizza box that's got a oil grease stain on it from the pizza that used to 5 or 6, 10 years ago, they would have recycled that. Now they don't. So I just want to make it clear that contaminated is not trash per se. Okay. That means that something is not washed or is not prime material to use for recycling. Contaminated on the local level, we dealt with a lot of contamination when we had our facilities that were out at the satellite locations. I understand and respect the fact that certainly makes that service a lot easier for our residents. Me personally, it made it easier for me. I had one right up there at the north end, as did you.
Yes.
And it made it easier. What it did not do is it did increase our cost, and I provided a chart that showed that it did increase our cost because we would see contamination. Contamination in those was solid waste, where somebody would take their trash and their recycling to the fire station, one of the 2 fire stations, or River Park, and dump it out first for whatever reason. And then when we take that to our facility and we're piecing this out by hand, when we would see trash, we would try to throw it out. And when folks see that, I think Mr. McCarthy was one that sticks to my mind. He would see us throwing it out. he was probably correct. And I can only assume that my staff was trained properly and that they were throwing solid waste out. So the contamination really is two things. What we see locally in the contamination on our satellite locations was solid waste, and it was abuse.
Yes.
And we have attempted to market those. Keep Dawson Beautiful put some stuff out on social media to try to educate what was supposed to and allowable to go in that. And unfortunately, the folks that are dumping it aren't going to read it. So that's our challenge that we're faced with, which is why we get back to the contamination that we see at our manned facility. And keep in mind what we have at our single stream location at Burke Creek Road at the transfer station is a manned facility. There will never be somebody come in there that dumps recycling in without a county employee that is there. So if they come in with something that's contaminated, when they rip the bag open, if they see it's contaminated, it's going to stay on the floor until we can throw whatever is not contaminated in there. So since we have only been operating our manned facility, we have not seen any of those contamination fees. So I did want to address that because that comment was raised when the chairman read those comments.
So the recommendation from, I'm looking back at the notes, was to continue the manned recycling process there at Burke Creek. And it looks like, just flipping through some of the comments we had, it looks like a lot of people are willing to go to the Burke Creek location to begin with. And so is that the recommendation that you have before us? And
Yeah, I think today, yes, my recommendation is that. I think I also discussed reviewing what other options we have and looking at this at least on an annual basis, because our cost is slowly increasing. Next year, we are potentially going to have to offset our transfer station fund with general fund. And that is absolutely going in the wrong direction.
and that's just generated from the current collections at the manned recycling center? Or is that, because we've eliminated the trailers?
That's correct. That's
So
correct.
this cost is being driven by just the manned location.
That's correct. Yes.
It was running about 20,000 a year, close to it.
Roughly 20. Yes.
And so
It's
if
going
if we can take cardboard that is
No grease.
unadulterated, or whatever the word is.
The term is clean cardboard.
Clean cardboard. So the one lady's comment that the students gather cardboard at the school, that's still a viable thing. That wouldn't be going away.
And that could come to our facility. Now, you bring up another good point. Clean cardboard and clean paper, there is a market for clean cardboard and clean paper. So if it is this board's desire to continue this program and review options and bring those back at a later date, it is a possibility that we could see a revenue stream from clean cardboard and clean paper. What that means is we would not do single stream. We would only accept clean cardboard and clean paper at the manned facility.
I mean, I think if we do the cardboard and the paper, because the glass and the plastics costing us, because nobody's taking them. But we could make money on metal, possibly a little. So we could do it as metal and clean cardboard and paper.
Yeah, you bring up a good point about metal. The only metal that goes in that single stream facility now is aluminum or cans or something that would go in there. We separate metal completely out, and we do get revenue from metal. Not a lot, but we get some revenue from our scrap. Yeah, it's up and down. It's the market. It's market driven. So we do get revenue from metal, and yes, that would be a procedural shift if we went to clean cardboard and paper. Obviously, we would need to develop a program and do a lot of.
I think we need to look at it. I mean, I'm the one that, we addressed this in the first of the year, I think it was. And when we found out, as far as the board found out, we were losing money on it. And, I asked to continue it. I was getting a lot of phone calls and emails also, and to revisit it in 6 months or so. Then the COVID hit, and then we finally brought it back up, but we're still losing money. I mean, I'd love to see it continue, but And I talked to you about it, the one at Station 2, you would pick it up at Friday, and Monday, there'd be trash on the ground. And people were going by there and throwing trash in.
Yeah, and
They were trying to
Yes.
recycle too, but they was also throwing trash in.
Yeah.
And it got where the parking lots were full of trash because the critters would get out there and tear the bags up and eat the trash that they were throwing in the recycle bin. And then your employees had to go in there by hand and pull those bags apart. So, we're talking about health risks that's going on right now. There's a lot of health risks to that for our people. So I think if we could streamline it and go with the clean cardboard and paper and the metal and revisit maybe mid-year next year, but as far as the unmanned sites, I don't see how way we can control that.
We can't.
And, we're spending the $20,000 they're not manned, plus the man hours to recycle, to separate it. So it's, that's just my opinion. I think we need to.
Is there I agree with you there. Is there ability to kind of have maybe the paper, the clean paper, the clean cardboard, and only metal and only plastic bottles or plastics, and not the milk cartons, not the styrofoam, but just the plastics, and have a dedicated bin just for plastics?
But
So-
we're paying to get rid of it. We're not getting anything for it.
so, yeah, the answer is yes. We would have to add, and we have some dollars in our current SLOST 6 for recycling upgrades. Not much. It's $10,000. That won't buy half of a compactor. So we would have to add an entirely separate compactor for those materials. And understand that just a pile of clean cardboard is not going to work. It's got to be compacted through that compactor so that when they come, they're getting 4 or 5 tons of material. They're not getting, a dump truck load that equals up to a half a ton. So yes, it could, but our cost and our return is getting way out if we add additional compactors for the plastics or the cans or anything like that. So
What's a compactor cost?
in 2000, it was $35,000 in, well, bear with me, I can tell you exactly when it was. It was $35,000 in 2013 for the compactor, the
So
box.
we will have to have a compactor if we decide to just do cardboard?
No, the current compactor we have will certainly suffice for that.
Okay.
And even with some minor modifications, which we could do under our own budget. However, we would not be able to put anything in it other than clean cardboard and clean.
How much revenue do we potentially gain off of the cardboard position only?
I'm not qualified to answer that.
So
right
if
now
we
today.
committed, and this is just again, a big idea, if we committed any revenue that we generated off the cardboard would go into a bucket to buy a future compactor for plastics.
Or other
we get
recycled
money for it.
materials.
Why
There's no market for
buy
it.
buy $50,000
I understand, but I'm just
compactor,
trying to figure out a way
put
to,
plastic in that we've got to pay somebody to get.
I agree, but it looks like the big cost, you're contaminated is $45 a ton versus $25 a ton.
My recommendation is when we look at the clean cardboard and paper, is we look at, I don't want to say our revenue is the non-expense, but our
Right.
break-even
Right.
point. Our clean cardboard and copper, or clean cardboard and paper is no cost to the county. It may be a little bit of a revenue generator, just like our metal. But
Yeah.
when you do the staff time and everything else, there is no revenue generation. So I would look at that as more of a savings of $20,000 for the general operations rather than
Not a positive.
a positive revenue source. Correct.
Plastic and glass are about the same thing, aren't they? There's no market for the glass either.
Yes, glass is, no discussion about it. Glass goes straight to the landfill. It goes through a crusher, is crushed and goes into a 30-yard dumpster and goes to the landfill. Plastic does not. They still recycle the plastics. It goes through and they put it in big bales and belt it up. And several months ago when we visited, they were taking it to storage facilities and putting it in these high rack storage facilities until they can determine what to do with it.
Wow.
And
We
then
don't have room to store
we don't,
it. Yeah,
No.
we couldn't store it.
no, we don't. To your comment, this is a forever changing market. And a year from today, there could be a use for the plastics and our facility could be adjusted at that time to take the plastics but the challenge today is the plastics, yes.
And I think that's what, I mean, we're not shutting it down. That's what people think. We're not shutting it down. We're modifying what we're doing, but we're still recycling. And we're not throwing the money away that, I mean, when we're throwing $20,000 a year and up for something that we're throwing away, it's just hard to spend that taxpayer money when we're throwing money out the window like that.
When I think the general mentality of recycling is, and we all share this, is environmental protections. But when I hear there's plastics that we're just paying, we're not recycling, we're putting it in a storage building and paying somebody to, I mean, it's like having a mini storage with a bunch of plastics in it. And it's not getting back into the system for technical, real recycling. I mean, real recycling is it gets melted down and reused, and that's the purpose. But in actuality, we can do everything right. We can spend $20,000 a year, go through the process, and it's sitting in a warehouse.
Correct. And this is not it's a Dawson County problem tonight because we're tasked with that. But this is certainly a regional, statewide, nationwide problem that many municipalities have either cut it completely or gone to the clean cardboard and paper.
Well, and I'm not going to name the county or the commissioner, but I called around too, and the county and the commissioner said, don't use my name, but we throw it away. People are bringing it up there and we're throwing it away because we're not getting paid for it.
And that's precisely why I'm before you today, because I'm not going to throw it away. We're going to try to make the best decision
Yeah.
possible.
When you say metal, does that include soup cans,
Yes.
stuff like that?
Yeah. Now you're currently, the way we operate, your soup cans would go in the single stream and it would go to the recycling facility. If we went to a clean paper cardboard option and you wanted to still recycle your cans, soup cans and all that, that would go in our metal bin. They're both in the same facility, same staff, it's manned. It just goes in the metal bin. Metal bin can be anything from a refrigerator to a soup can.
So we can technically say we will recycle metal,
Yes.
paper, and cardboard.
Clean.
Paper, cardboard, yes.
Metal, paper, cardboard.
Yes.
Okay.
Metal, aluminum, yeah, any metals.
Okay.
And do we have to wait a year to revisit this? Is 6 months too early?
No,
Is
I
that
think
not enough?
it'd be the pleasure of the board. That's
I think you said something about in a year, but I just,
Well, the new year.
oh, okay.
6 months next year.
Next year, 6 months next year.
Oh, okay.
Almost made it to 2020.
Laura needs to do a printout, send it out and tell them update and all the good stuff that
Yeah.
this is not going
Clean.
away.
Yeah, and some of the comments that we read really, I think, revolves around communication and how our process works and educating those that a pizza box, even though it's cardboard, if it's got pepperonis on it, it's contaminated. So I think Laura can take that on, to your point, Julie, as a Commissioner Nick, sorry, as a task for sure.
Get some good information.
All right. So we need to vote on this tonight. Any other questions? So we've heard our options, and so at this point, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to continue recycling, but at our transfer station. Because we can't control our outside, our locations, fire stations, and at the river put in.
We can.
And do clean cardboard and clean paper and still metal. And revisit 6 months into the new year.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor from Commissioner Satterfield. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Fawcett. Any other comments or discussion? Seeing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Thank you. Next, we have on the list, new business item number 3, consideration 2020 Dawson County surplus list. And we have already heard that. Was there an update? There was an item that was
He has a couple of things.
Yes.
left out, and that's what we're dealing with. Any other questions that we have on this? Motions?
Make a motion to approve with the updated list presented.
We have a motion by Commissioner Satterfield, second by Commissioner Nix. Please, any comment? Please vote. And that is approved 4-0.
Will you be getting us some money?
One question. Does that still go in our vehicle purchase fund?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
That was going to pay for TVs.
That's next.
All right, we got next. Speaking of which, as we roll right into number 4, we move this item that's been thoroughly discussed for several weeks now. Cable TV proposals. And we heard that again tonight. Do we have any other comments or questions?
I just think I think that when the telephone people came in, I guess they spoiled us by giving us free service for this many years, and now we got to pay for it. But that's just
The times we're living
times.
in.
Yeah, and these facilities, the fire stations and sheriff department, I mean, that's in the road department. They look at weather and conditions and things like that, and the government building too. And it's just something we need, got to have.
Any other comments, questions? Motions?
Motion to approve, and isn't it the Dish Network?
Okay. A motion by Commissioner Nix to go forward with the Dish Network option.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fawcett. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none.
When will this get hooked up? When will this start?
We'll start as soon as the vendor is ready, probably in the next 2 weeks.
A follow-up question. I assume that since the sheriff already decided to move forward with his, we still obtain economies of scale with our pricing with them because we're moving forward as well. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0 as well. Moving forward to another item that we added tonight, which is item number 5 under new business, Sheriff's Heat Grant. We heard that from the sheriff. It is a no funds match out of our pocket to officers with equipment. The only thing that we do have to fund is the benefits that could be a maximum of roughly $55,000. We won't know that, 52. We will not know that until they hire those folks. I assume that will be a budget move. When did he say that started?
When does that start? October 1st?
October 1st. So we could have some expenditures that would hit outside of our budget. Do we have to have a separate vote on that since it would be amending our budget for this year?
It would not hurt to separately do that. At minimum, we definitely need to approve the budget amendment to make this happen. So
Okay.
I think a second
Can I-
motion would be nice and clean.
Yes.
Question. The vehicles, y'all go through our procurement process. I know I read that in that thing, you had to go by the counties. So, okay, for the buying the vehicles. Is that, I mean, are those vehicles already ready from somewhere? Because I know they said had to be black with gray writing and all this other stuff. I didn't know if anybody had them already.
No, so we'll purchase the vehicles following the same methods that we've done in the past. We typically buy off a contract. It's just quicker that way. It's the best price that we can get. And we'll bid out the upfitting of the vehicle. Really the only specifications that GOHS kind of makes us do is the color scheme, the writing inside, something like that.
Oh, that's pretty good. Gray and red or something? Trimmed in red or gray?
They're actually going to change this.
They're going to change that?
Traditionally, the vehicles have been blue with gray writing on the side. They're now going to be black with gray writing, so they'll match.
Look close.
I won't see them when they're following me.
That's the reason I was asking, Chris.
Now I know what to look out for, apparently. Thank you. Any other questions? And so a budget amendment, if we are anticipating, if we were to hire in October, do we want to try to annualize that number out and put a number on it?
Well, they would just do a max or whatever the up to.
Your expenditure won't be, I mean, that'll cut into your, I guess it matters, but. Where's my phone?
It's 52,000.
Yeah, but we've only got, for this particular year, we've only got, if we do 52,000 divided by 12, and we say we got October, November, December, 3 months left. So that's 13,000. So maybe a cushion, we say 15,000 just to ensure that we're within that range. Everybody comfortable with that?
For this year.
For this year, correct. And then that would be part of, I assume, the sheriff's budget coming in for next year, because that will come out of his budget.
So
It's
that-
good for 12 months? Okay.
So I would, any other questions?
So that would need to be in this budget stuff that Billy's given us, wouldn't it?
That will need to be updated in the sheriff's request, correct?
Yeah.
And that would be,
29,000. No.
well, he would probably ask for, and this is an assumption, he's probably going to anticipate that the program continues for all fiscal year 21. So he would technically ask for 52 again for that next year. The 15 would be just to finish out this current year, and that would come out of
Fund balance.
fund balance or his budget that he already has. So do we have any motions?
I'll make a motion to approve the application, or I guess the approval of the heat grant.
Are we accepting it? Is that what we're
Accepted,
doing?
make a motion to accept it. With adding 15,000 coming out of the budget for benefits for the remaining of the 3 months of this year.
Sheriff's budget or general fund
Sheriff's.
or fund balance?
Fund balance.
Fund balance.
Why couldn't it be the sheriff?
I think it'd be up to him and Vicky to sit
Yeah.
down and look and see.
Do we need to specify then?
It's not budgeted in his particular budget already, so I think it would have to come out of fund balance because it's not already budgeted in his. But next year, going into it, he would absorb that whole because it'd be part of his budget.
Okay.
So your motion is to accept the grant and adding 15,000 to fund balance in order to pay, not adding to fund balance, taking from fund balance
For
to
benefits.
pay
For
for
3
the
months.
benefits
For this,
for the remainder of 2020.
yeah.
Yes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
A second from Commissioner Fawcett. Any other discussion or questions?
Kristen might want to get with Vicky and tell her, make sure. Yes, ma'am. I will.
All right, please vote. That is approved 4-0. Moving in along to new business number 6, which is the Bailey Waters Road culvert change order, repairs change order. And we heard that earlier from Mr. McKee. Any other questions? So basically what he was looking for was the amount of $13,500 with an additional $5,000 in contingency, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes,
So a total of 18,000.
540.
13,540 plus 5, so 18,540.
18,540 with 13,540 designated to the culvert repair.
To the change order for Townley Construction, that's correct.
Any other questions?
I've got a question before we vote. Need to ask Angie. When this first came up, I abstained from voting for this award. So with this change order, do I need to abstain again?
Yes, the same reasons would presumably be in
Okay.
place. So yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Motions.
Motion to approve the $13,540 and also the $5,000 for the contingency.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Nix, second from Commissioner Satterfield. Any other discussion?
We need specification that the funds come from SPOS 6.
Mhm.
And those funds will come from Splash 6.
Did you get that amendment to the motion?
Yes.
Second.
And we have the confirmation of the second again from Commissioner Satterfield. We clear? All those in favor, please vote. And that is approved with Commissioner Fawcett abstaining from the vote. That wraps up our new business items. Do we have any public comment in this section?
No, sir.
We don't have any comment. We do have a necessity to go into an executive session for the purpose of personnel and litigation. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
So moved. Second by Mr. Satterfield. All those in favor, please vote. And that is approved. And as a note, we could potentially have a vote coming out of this meeting, out of this executive session, and we will convene back in here when we're through with that. Thank you.
Are we gonna have it in here? Executive session in here?